20 years later. Secret daughter of abandoned maid revealed. Challenges millionaire dad in karate. Kim stood behind the counter of the Maplewood diner, pouring coffee with a smile that masked the fire in her soul. Every day felt like a repetition of the last, filled with the aroma of freshly baked pies and the chatter of regulars who never noticed her dreams. She would often glimpse her reflection in the stainless steel. The dreamer trapped in a life stitched together by her beloved grandmother, Agnes, and whispers of a mother she never truly knew. Her heart raced. Every pie served reminded her of the incomplete story in her soul, a longing for something more powerful than the monotony she battled daily. Then one day, while sorting through old boxes in the attic, she stumbled upon a faded photograph. It was a picture of a striking young woman with dark, flowing hair. The familiar contours of her face echoed in Kim's own features. Kim's heart raced as she squinted at the accompanying names. Her mother with Gordon Anderson, a name that sent shockwaves through her entire being. The realization struck like a lightning bolt. Her absentee father, the wealthy heir to an automotive empire, had been just a story untold at family gatherings. He was not just a name. He was a part of her history. Fear and exhilaration mingled in her chest. Kim's life took on a new spark. She could no longer sit idly in the diner. She had to confront the man who never acknowledged her existence. A karate match became her battle cry. It was a metaphorical and literal fight for her place in the world. "I challenge you to a match, Dad!" she yelled, shaking the very foundation of her being. The people of Maplewood buzzed with excitement. Kim, the little girl they watched grow, was about to take on an empire. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the news spread, whispers tainted the edges of her ambitious life. The boys at the dojo doubted her, and even her own resolve felt precarious. Yet, surrounded by townsfolk who remembered her mother's kindness, Kim began to train, sweat staining her brow as the sharp sound of fists meeting pads filled the air. Every punch was a note in the symphony of her determination, each kick a defiance against the world that often overlooked her struggles. The day of the match loomed closer, and Kim felt the weight of generations behind her. Standing in the dojo, the clang of the bell signaled more than just a physical fight. It was a collision of worlds, wealth and labor, privilege and perseverance. But when the match began and she stumbled, her father's unyielding stance stifling her spirit, Kim felt the crushing weight of rejection again. Defeated, she left the dojo, heart heavy with despair. Yet as she walked through the streets of Maplewood, familiar faces lit up with encouragement. They believed in her. In her mother's spirit embodied in Kim's fight. In that moment, Kim realized that her journey was not just about winning a match. It was about reclaiming her identity and embracing where she came from. As the sun set over Maplewood, a fire ignited within her. She was not just a daughter of an abandoned maid, but a warrior destined to rewrite her family's legacy. The rematch with her father would be the ultimate test, not just of skill but of spirit. And this time she would be ready. The sun rose over Maplewood, casting a golden hue across the diner's windows. Kim stood there, hands clenched around a steaming cup of coffee, her mind racing. Today was the day. She felt stronger, more determined than ever. The rematch she craved was finally within reach. Her training had intensified. Morning runs along the old riverbank became her sanctuary, where the cool breeze wrapped around her like a lover's embrace. In the evenings, the dojo pulsed with energy as her fellow students began to see her differently. They observed the fire in her punches, the unwavering focus in her eyes. A community that once doubted her now rallied behind her, offering advice, support, and encouragement. As she prepared for the match, the gravity of what she was about to face started to sink in. Gordon Anderson wasn't just another opponent. He was the father who had left her mother without a second thought, the man who had built a life far removed from hers. But for all his riches, he was about to learn that Kim was not just a product of her past. She was a force to be reckoned with. The venue buzzed with activity. Spectators filled the bleachers, friends and family alike, and the tension was palpable. Kim's grandmother Agnes sat proudly, her lined face a map of the struggles they had shared. Every wrinkle held a story, a sacrifice made for the strength that now coursed through Kim's veins. As she wrapped her fists in white tape, memories flooded back: her mother's laughter, the bedtime stories, the warmth of family dinners. It rekindled a flame deep within her, reminding her why she was here. She wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for her mother's memory, and for every unspoken moment that had been stolen from her. When Gordon stepped into the ring, the atmosphere shifted. He exuded confidence, a man used to winning. His tailored suit accentuated a physique that spoke of privilege and training, the result of wealth and status. In that moment, however, Kim didn't see a father. She saw an obstacle. The bell rang, slicing through the tension, and the match began. Kim felt the adrenaline surge, fueling each movement. Her feet danced across the mat, the rhythm of the fight alive within her. She slipped past his guard, landing a swift jab to his side. Cheers erupted from the crowd, a symphony of hope that sent shivers down her spine. But Gordon wasn't done. He retaliated with precision, countering her attack and pushing her back. For a moment, doubt crept in. Could she really face someone who had lived in a different world? Just when fear threatened to overwhelm, she heard Agnes's voice in her heart. "Stand tall. Remember who you are." With renewed determination, Kim fought back. She remembered every kiss goodbye, every tear shed over missed connections. She wasn't just in this to win. She was in it to reclaim her past, her story, and above all else, herself. As the match intensified, the tide began to turn. Questions lingered in the air: who would walk away victorious? What would this rematch mean for both of them? But one thing was clear. Kim wasn't just pushing herself, she was breaking down the walls of denial. With the final round looming, she drew in a deep breath, preparing to redirect her passion. There was no quitting now. It was time to show Gordon Anderson what it meant to fight and what it truly meant to be family. Would she be able to finish what she started? As the final bell chimed, everything hung in the balance. The crowd held its breath, still buzzing with excitement as the final bell signaled the end of the round. Kim stood facing Gordon, sweat trickling down her forehead. She noticed the flicker of surprise in his eyes, a glimmer of doubt that hadn't been there before. This wasn't just a match for him. It was a battle he hadn't anticipated. Kim's heart raced. She felt every muscle in her body vibrating with energy. But beyond the adrenaline, there was a deeper current, a pulse of revenge wrapped in the layers of confusion and enduring need for validation. She wiped her brow with the back of her hand and focused again. Gordon's voice cut through the noise. "You're stronger than I expected, but this is just a game to me," he taunted, a smirk on his face. His confidence felt like a heavy weight in the air. Yet Kim knew this wasn't just a game. It was a reckoning. As the next round began, Kim planted her feet firmly on the mat. She wasn't just responding to Gordon's attacks. She was unleashing everything that had been pent up inside her for years. Each punch she threw felt like a piece of her story reclaiming its rightful place. Gordon lunged, trying to catch her off guard. She sidestepped, the movement fluid like water. With a swift counter, she landed a blow to his ribs, a forbidden thrill washing over her as he staggered back. The crowd erupted. For a moment, she felt invincible. But the reprieve was short-lived. Gordon, anger ignited by pain, charged forward again. His punches were sharp and deliberate, like a laser focused on the target. Kim barely dodged. There was a moment of vulnerability, and doubt flickered in her mind. Was this enough? Could she possibly break the pattern of their fractured relationship in one match? Then she saw Agnes again, her grandmother's unwavering belief piercing through her fear. "You are not just fighting him. You are fighting for us." The roar of the crowd surged around her, chanting her name, igniting the fire within. Kim remembered every story her grandmother had ever told her. Every time she spoke of resilience in the face of adversity. Fueled by love and memories, Kim pressed on, channeling everything she had into her punches, her kicks. She felt grounded in every step. She was more than just an abandoned child. She was a force, a legacy. With each connection, Kim enjoyed more than just the victory. She relished the sense of empowerment it brought. Gordon was no longer a distant and untouchable figure, but someone she could confront. Someone she could confront with strength and fierceness. With one last desperate move, Kim feinted to the left and planted a clean right hook on his jaw. Time slowed down as the impact resonated through her. Gordon dropped to the mat, stunned, his expression shifting from arrogance to disbelief. The crowd surged to its feet, a wave of overwhelming noise enveloping the arena. Kim's chest heaved as she watched him struggle to regain his composure. She fought for every moment lost, every shred of dignity stolen from her. And now the battle was hers. But as she stood there, sweat-soaked and panting, something shifted in Gordon's gaze. A flicker of recognition, maybe understanding. Questions began to swirl in her mind as she sensed a transformation taking shape. Could this moment reshape their fractured bond? Or was it just the beginning of a deeper conflict? As the referee raised her hand in victory, Kim felt the weight of many more battles looming ahead. What would it take to truly face the man who had walked away from her? Would everything change now, or would the past claw its way back into her life? The adrenaline still buzzed in Kim's veins as the referee's hand arched triumphantly above her head, the crowd cheers enveloping her like a warm embrace. Yet beneath the surface of victory, a tempest of emotions swirled. She had knocked Gordon down like so many days when she'd wanted to fight back against the agony of his absence. But now, could this moment truly transform everything? As the cheers roared and excitement rippled through the arena, Kim found her eyes locked on Gordon again. He was still down, but there was something different about the way he gazed at her as he struggled to his feet. It was as if the layers of their past were peeling back right there, leaving nothing but raw truth behind. Kim, he breathed, his voice hoarse, a mix of disbelief and something like regret. She stepped back, her heart racing for a different reason now. This wasn't just about martial arts. This felt bigger than both of them. Memories of the girl who had dreamed day and night of just one chance to make him understand flooded her mind. She had trained, fought, and bled to reach this moment, but was victory truly enough? Gordon wiped the sweat from his brow and met her gaze, and for the first time in years, there was no arrogance. Just humanity. I didn't think he started again but faltered. His words abruptly lost under the weight of unspoken histories. The crowd began to settle, their excitement giving way to anticipation. Kim stood frozen, uncertainty creeping in. Did she want to hear what he had to say? All those years of wishing he would return, of wanting to scream at him for walking away, and now that she had finally gotten his attention, her heart was torn between vengeance and curiosity. Kim, I know I've let you down, he said, barely above a whisper, his eyes earnest. But I want to make it right. Starting now. A mix of anger and hope surged within her. Make it right? After all this time? It felt as if the chasm between them had deepened with every year he was absent. But here they were, at this moment. Could they bridge that gap? The urgency hung heavy in the air. The crowd, now quieted since the shift. Kim's jaw tightened. What do you even know about making things right? You left me. You left us. His shoulders slumped slightly, as though the weight of her words physically knocked him down. I know. And I've been living with that regret every day since, he replied, his voice thick with emotion. But I'm here now. I want to be your father. Can we start over? The words hung in the air like a fragile thread. She wanted to reach out, to pull him close and demand answers. Yet a burning sense of defiance bubbled inside her. The battle wasn't just against Gordon. It was against every scar he had left on her heart. Just as she thought of replying, the announcer's voice boomed through the arena, grabbing everyone's attention. Ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible match we've witnessed today. But that is not all. We have a special announcement about our next event. Kim barely heard the announcer as she remained focused on Gordon. I won't let this go easily, she whispered fiercely, the determination clear in her eyes. She was ready to fight for more than just punches and kicks. She was ready to battle over her broken past. As the crowd buzzed with excitement over the upcoming event, Kim's heart raced. She could feel the weight of choices ahead. Could he truly be back this time to stay? Or was this just another fleeting moment of hope shrouded in uncertainty? Before she could answer herself, the announcer continued, get ready, because the next event will feature a surprise challenger. Someone you want to miss. With a lingering look at her father, Kim's mind raced. Was it time for her to step into a new arena? Not just as a fighter, but a daughter seeking truth? What lay ahead was a fusion of complexity and interest, and she could feel it drawing near. But who would this new challenger be? Would they append her already tumultuous story once more? Kim stood firm, her heart pounding as the buzz of the crowd began to fade into the background. The word surprise challenger echoed in her mind, twisting into knots of anxiety and curiosity. She barely registered the other fighters around her, their moments of triumph or disappointment blending into a haze. All she could think about was the gravity of Gordon's plea, the weight of those simple yet profound words. "Can we start over? What do I even say to that?" she murmured to herself, her clenched fists softening just a bit as the adrenaline mixed with anticipation. Her mind raced as she imagined the endless possibilities. This wasn't just about her father. It was about everything they could potentially rebuild the lost years, the unspoken words hanging between them like a dark cloud. She glanced back at Gordon, who was now standing tall, although his expression was far from confident. There was a vulnerability in his gaze that she hadn't seen before. That glimpse of human frailty made her wonder if he truly meant it, or if this was just another fleeting apology, a band-aid on a much deeper wound. Before she could get lost in her thoughts, the announcer's voice broke through her reverie once more. "And in the next month we'll have a special showcase. A series of matches, some with surprise challengers." The crowd erupted in enthusiasm, their cheers a distant roar as Kim tried to process what was happening. "Surprise challengers?" she whispered, glancing at Gordon once more. What if one of those challengers was someone from her past? What if it was someone who could blow the lid off everything she thought she knew? "I think I'm up for the challenge," she finally managed to say, meeting Gordon's eyes with newfound resolve. "But you better be ready for the consequences. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about us." He stepped closer, the desperation evident in his eyes. "No matter who shows up in that ring, know this. I'll be there. I want to do this right." Kim nodded, though uncertainty twisted in her stomach. She didn't know who or what awaited her in the coming matches, but she felt a spark of something for the first time in years, a determination to confront not only her past but her future. The crowd surged with energy again as they speculated about who the surprise challengers could be. She could practically feel the whispers swirling around her, their collective excitement infecting her resolve. There would be no backing down now. As she left the arena, her thoughts churned with possibility. What had once been a fight for her own recognition was rapidly becoming a larger battle, one that included reconciling a fractured relationship with her father while facing past ghosts. Days turned into a whirlwind of training, each punch and kick punctuating her resolve and pushing aside some of the emotional weight of the past. But still, a nagging thought lingered: would she be able to face whoever this new challenger would be? The anticipation of the upcoming event loomed over her like a storm cloud, a mix of fear and excitement surging within her. And just as she was starting to feel a sense of determination, an anonymous message flashed across her phone. "You're not ready for what's coming. Just wait until the fights begin." A chill ran down her spine. Who was behind this message? And what did they mean? As she prepared to step into the unknown, one thing was clear. This was only the beginning of a confrontation that could shatter her world once more. Would she be able to face whatever lay ahead? The moments ticking down to the event felt like a countdown to a reckoning. Days passed in a blur of punches, sweat, and a cloud of introspection that seemed to hang over Kim like a heavy fog. Each morning, she laced up her training shoes with renewed determination, reminding herself that this was no longer just for her. She was fighting for a chance to reclaim her relationship with her father and confront the fragmented pieces of her past. She felt stronger with every kick, but the nagging message haunted her. Just wait until the fights begin. The words echoed in her mind, refusing to be silenced by her determination. Who could know her so intimately, and why were they targeting her now? The gym was alive with the sounds of sparring, shouts, and encouragement. It felt collective, as though everyone there shared the burden of their own battles. Kim moved with purpose, landing a swift roundhouse kick that sent a satisfying thud through her opponent's pad. The thrill of the fight was intoxicating, each hit carving away at her uncertainty. But there was an undercurrent of tension, a sense that something larger loomed just beyond the horizon. As her training intensified, Kim noticed Gordon was increasingly present. He watched closely, offering words of encouragement, but on some days, she sensed an ineffable distance between them. It was perplexing. Just days ago they had stood united in that arena. Yet here he seemed to carry the weight of secrets, making his support feel heavy, laced with unsaid things. One afternoon while Kim was methodically working through a new routine, Gordon stepped into the gym, tension crackling in the air. She could tell by his posture that this wasn't just a casual visit. He cleared his throat, the familiar vulnerability returning to his eyes. "Kim, can we talk?" he asked, unexpected urgency in his voice. She nodded, wiping the sweat from her brow and following him to a quieter corner. The gym, usually a sanctuary, felt suddenly stifling. What's going on? She braced herself, sensing the gravity of the moment. He took a breath, a mixture of hesitation and resolve. "I've been thinking a lot about the upcoming matches and about us. Things are changing and I don't want you to think I'm trying to control how you fight or what you do. But I can't shake the feeling that there's more at stake." "What do you mean?" Kim's heart raced, anticipating a revelation that could fracture everything. He hesitated, squeezing his eyes shut. "Remember I told you I want to do this, right? There's something from my past that I need to confess. It involves your mother." Her pulse quickened. It was the first time he'd mentioned her mother since they had begun to reconnect. "What are you talking about, Dad?" Gordon gripped her shoulders, his gaze steady but pleading. "All those years ago it wasn't just about leaving or not being there. There are pieces you don't know. And if that other person shows up to challenge you, who?" Kim interrupted, confusion and a growing dread swirling inside her. Gordon hesitated, as if weighing the impact of his words, and finally said, "Your mother had secrets. Secrets that might come to light during this showcase. I just want to protect you." The revelation hung in the air, a tightrope strung between fear and revelation. Kim felt the ground shift beneath her, vulnerability giving way to an array of questions. What other secrets lay tangled in her family's past? And then, just as she felt the walls closing in, her phone buzzed again, this time harder. Another anonymous message. "You don't know her like I do. When the fights start, you'll wish you hadn't. Prepare for the truth." Her stomach twisted into knots, a mix of anger and uncertainty bubbling to the surface. What truth? Her world felt like it was spinning, and each revelation only widened the chasm between her and the past she desperately wanted to understand. "Kim," Gordon's voice broke her spiraling thoughts. "You have to promise me you won't get distracted by what may come." But could she? As she stood there, caught in the tension of yesterday's mistakes and tomorrow's unknowns, one thing became clear. Every step forward was bound to shake her very foundations, and she was not ready to turn back. As the countdown to the fights loomed, Kim knew she would have to confront not just a challenger but the chaos of her own lineage. And she wasn't sure if she was ready for what the past would expose. Kim stood rooted to the spot, her breath coming in shallow gasps. The clarity of Gordon's words rang through her like a bell. Her mother, the enigmatic figure of her childhood, was tied to secrets she'd never known. The walls of the gym felt like they were closing in, pressing on her chest, pushing her breaths into quick bursts. "I can't do this," she whispered, the weight of her uncertainty scraping against her resolve. She turned away from her father, seeking the sanctuary of the familiar chaos surrounding her, a shared camaraderie that momentarily distracted from the storm brewing inside her. But as she moved deeper into the gym, the hum of fists hitting pads and the encouragement of fellow fighters faded into a dull roar. Kim's world had tilted, and every secure footing she'd fought to gain felt fragile now. Could she keep her focus? "Kim!" The urgency in Gordon's voice broke through her reverie. She turned back, half expecting him to say something that would clear the fog gripping her heart. But he remained silent, wrestling with his own emotions. I need time," she finally managed, instinctively retreating from the weight of his stare. But time felt like a luxury she couldn't afford, especially knowing the countdown to the fight loomed closer. And with it, the potential unveiling of truths that could fracture her even more. With her mind racing, Kim sought clarity and movement. She stepped into the ring, the glossy surface beneath her feet grounding her. She focused on her breathing, channeling her tumultuous emotions into fierce, calculated blows against the pads held by her coach. Each kick connected with purpose. Sweat poured down her back as she worked through combinations, determined to outpace the chaos swirling in her mind. But behind every punch was a flicker of fear. What if the fight wasn't just about physical strength? What if it became a battlefield of revelations? That evening, the gym had emptied, with only the soft hum of the overhead lights left to accompany her. Kim sat cross-legged on the mat, the world quieting around her. Thoughts of her mother flooded her mind, stitching together memories with the new threads of uncertainty and dread. Who was her mother beyond the absence? What had she hidden from her? Just when she thought she could escape into the silence, her phone buzzed again. With hesitant fingers she picked it up, her heart sinking as she read the message. The truth will come out soon, Kim. Are you ready to face it? Panic gripped her heart, thoughts spiraling into a whirlwind. Could she handle whatever lay ahead? Would she be strong enough to face lingering shadows from her mother's past? Or the bitter memories it would revive? And more importantly, would Gordon protect her, especially if the truth turned out to be darker than she could handle? Kim. Gordon's voice sliced through her chaos like a blade. He appeared in the doorway, concern etched across his face. I've been looking for you. I'm fine, she snapped, but even as the words escaped her lips, she knew they rang hollow. I just want to help, he said softly, stepping closer, searching for her gaze. But you need to trust me. If there's any chance we can face this together, I don't know if we can, she interrupted, pulling back, her emotions flooding her as she fought against her instincts. I feel like I'm walking toward an abyss, and you want me to tie myself to the very thing that pushed you away. But Kim, I left for a reason. His voice shook slightly, a mixture of desperation and yearning that cut through her defenses. I love you. And I won't let anything happen to you. The sincerity in his plea cracked her resolve, but just then, another notification pinged through. She glanced down at her phone, a sense of dread pooling in her stomach as she read. The fight will unveil everything. Prepare yourself. Kim forced her phone into her pocket, adrenaline flaring through her as she faced Gordon. She couldn't let fear dictate her path. She would confront the darkness swirling around her family. She had to. Her identity was tangled in this fight, and she wasn't about to back down. Let us prepare for this, Dad, she said, her voice stronger, an ember of defiance igniting within her. No more secrets. As they stood together, the air between them crackling with potential, she felt the gravity of their familial bond. But beyond that, uncertainty loomed over her. What awaited her in the ring and in the truths yet to be revealed? Would she be ready for what was about to unfold? And as the tension in the gym thickened, an unsettling thought crossed her mind. The fights hadn't even begun, but already, she could feel the stakes escalating beyond fists and strength. What awaited her beyond that threshold? The next day felt like a whirlwind. Kim's body moved on autopilot, but her mind was a jumbled mess of expectations and doubts. With every round of training, she fought against more than just physical opponents. She grappled with her own fears and the shadows of secrets long buried. The rhythmic thud of gloves against pads filled the gym, but for Kim, each sound echoed like a bell tolling her inner turmoil. She sparred with determination, but every time she ducked or weaved, the truth knocked on the door of her thoughts, demanding to be let in. Focus, Kim, her coach shouted, breaking her reverie as he noticed her distracted punches. You've got this. Just push through. She nodded, forcing her breaths to align with her movements. But as her punches landed heavy and precise, she couldn't escape the creeping doubt that lingered just below the surface. The more she fought, the more it felt like the upcoming match was more than just a fight. It was a reckoning. When the training ended, Kim collapsed onto a bench, utterly drained. The fights in the ring paled in comparison to what was brewing inside her. The message from last night lingered in her mind like a ghost, haunting her every thought. She pulled out her phone again, staring at the ominous words as if they might somehow reveal their meaning. Are you ready to face it? She picked at her fingernail, the anxiety clawing at her serenity. What did that even mean? Was confronting her mother's past a metaphorical fight for her identity? Or was it more like standing in front of a dangerous opponent, ready to deliver the final blow? Hey! Gordon's voice pulled her from her spiral. He sat beside her, concern etched on his face. You okay? You've been off lately. Just tired, Kim replied, forcing a smile. But she knew it wasn't just fatigue weighing her down. Training's demanding. I know the fight is just around the corner. Gordon reached out, his hand resting on her knee. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. You don't have to face this alone. Something in his gaze softened her resolve momentarily. She wanted to lean into his warmth, to trust him and let go of her fear. But the truths looming outside threatened to smash the fragile connection they had rebuilt. Gordon, she hesitated, the words shaping like clay in her mind but refusing to form. What if facing my mother's past means losing everything we're building? What if all this fighting leads to a battle I can't win? We've come this far, he insisted. You're stronger than you know. You fought too hard to let this stop you now. His faith in her stoked the embers of her courage. But even as she felt a flicker of hope ignite within her, doubt clouded her vision. How much stronger could she be when the very foundation of her world felt unstable? Finally she stood, resolve hardening her features. Let us do this. I'm ready to confront whatever is waiting for me. Gordon stood too, mirroring her determination. That's the spirit. I'll stand by you no matter what. With a shaky breath, Kim looked toward the ring, a new sense of determination rising like steam from her muscles. But deep down her stomach knotted with worry. What if the fight wasn't the only thing to unveil a bitter truth? In that moment of clarity she realized one fight would lead to another. Later that evening as Kim prepared for bed, her phone buzzed once more. This time it wasn't just a notification. It was a video link. She hesitated before opening it, heart racing at what she might find. As it loaded she bit her lip, anxiety coursing through her veins. What if this was the final piece of the puzzle? As the screen flickered to life her eyes widened. A familiar face greeted her. Her mother. Kim, if you're watching this, it's time for you to know the truth. I've waited too long. The screen cut off abruptly, pushing her heart into her throat. What did her mother want her to know? Kim's world tilted once more as she clutched her phone tight. What was she about to uncover? Kim's heart raced as she stared at the paused screen, her mother's face frozen in time. The ghostly image seemed to seep into the corners of the dimly lit room, filling the silence with unspoken words and unanswered questions. She took a breath, trying to steady herself, but it felt like trying to grasp water slipping through her fingers. Okay, Kim, you got this, she murmured to herself, willing the fear to fade. She pressed play, eager yet terrified to hear what her mother had to say. Kim, if you're watching this, it's time for you to know the truth. I've waited too long. The screen flickered, and Kim could feel her pulse quicken with anticipation. But then, just like that, the video vanished, stopping abruptly as if someone had yanked the plug on the universe itself. What? She whispered, furiously tapping her screen. Nothing. Staring blankly at her phone, Kim's breathing picked up. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. She swallowed hard against the rising bile of frustration. She needed context. She needed answers. The fight outside the ring was turning into something far more complicated than she ever anticipated. Every ounce of doubt that had been swirling in her head reached a crescendo. What was this truth? What did it mean? With her heart hammering, she stumbled into the living room, hoping to escape the oppressive silence of her room. Her fingers flew over her phone as she searched for any clues about her mother's past. Articles spun webs of stories and connections, some old, some freshly written. The headlines glared at her. Mystery of the abandoned maid. Child exposed. The secret life of a millionaire. Each title stung like a punch in the gut. Then she saw something. A photograph. Kim squinted closer, and her breath caught in her throat. It was a picture of her mother standing in front of an old house, the same one from her childhood memories. It was even more vivid this time, revealing shadows that had been hidden away like a neglected memory. Her mother standing closely with a man who Kima assumed was her father. Is this real? She whispered, her voice shaking. This woman, the one she'd been angry with for years, carried something monumental that Kim had never understood. A rattle came from the kitchen. It broke her trance. It was Gordon. He entered, his brow drawn tight with concern. Hey, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I think I just did, she replied, holding up the photo in her shaky hand. It's my mom. And my dad. He leaned over, examining the printout. What do you mean? What's going on? I don't know yet. I found something. Something that makes me question everything. Their eyes met, and Kim felt the weight of their friendship hanging in the balance. She needed to be honest, but how much trust could she risk? I'm scared, Gordon. What if this leads to a fight I can't win? Gordon shifted closer, his presence steadying her. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together. But you have to confront it. You can't just run away from the truth. His words ignited something fierce in Kim. The prospect of what lay ahead was overwhelming. But she had already stood at the edge of her fears, ready to leap. Once again her phone buzzed, breaking the moment. It was another notification. Another video? Another chance to open a door she had been afraid to approach? Kim exchanged glances with Gordon. The uncertainty danced in the pit of her stomach. "What do you think?" she asked, biting her lip. He nodded firmly. "You have to know, Kim. The truth might be hard, but running away only keeps you trapped." Nodding, she summoned her courage and opened the new link. The screen flickered to life, and there was her mother again, looking more serious than ever. "Kim, if you've reached this, then you're ready." As those words hung in the air, the chill of her mother's gaze seemed to reach through the screen, deep into Kim's soul. What was it that she had to be ready for? As Kim's mother's voice hummed through the speakers, anticipation knotted in her chest. "Ready for what?" she whispered into the silence. "To face the past, to confront the truth I've hidden." Her mother's eyes seemed to bore into her own, and in that moment, Kim felt the weight of generations press down on her. Every unspoken moment, every painful memory of longing for a mother who had been just out of reach, loomed over her like a dark cloud. "I'm sorry, Kim. I never meant to leave you in the dark. But some secrets are meant to protect, to shield you from a world that can be unforgiving." Her mother continued, determination etched on her face. "Protect me from what?" Kim's heart thundered, each word igniting a fierce spark within. Anger rose like bile in her throat, mixing with an ache for answers. "If you loved us so much, why not tell me the truth? Why keep me from knowing my family?" The video didn't hold back, and the gravity of her mother's words made the air thick with tension. "Your father, he made choices that defined our lives. Choices I thought I could shield you from, but I see now that I failed." A flicker of hurt and anger surged under Kim's skin. Was this really how her mother had chosen to protect her? By placing walls around the truth, leaving Kim alone with emptiness and anger? "Kim, there's something you need to understand. Your father's wealth wasn't just a blessing. It was a curse. He loved you, but he was caught in a cycle of greed and expectation that tore us apart. I thought it best to keep you away from him." The disbelief in her voice echoed through the quiet room. "Or from the truth. You never thought I had the right to know?" "I was terrified," her mother confessed, tears welling in her eyes. "And now here you are, standing strong, ready to fight. I should have prepared you for the truth. But I was just a scared girl who stumbled in a world that felt too big." Scared. The word reverberated through her memories, painted over years of hurt. In the drama of searching for her identity, Kim had longed for someone to define what family truly meant. "I don't care about your fears anymore," she said, anger boiling over as she realized how many moments had been stolen from her. "I care about the pieces of me you didn't let connect." A stillness settled. Kim struggled to keep her tears at bay, wrapping her heart tightly in resolve, a feisty fire igniting within. She would no longer be a spectator in this play of secrets. She was the lead. "Are you ready to face the truth?" her mother asked again, her eyes filled with a blend of regret and pride. "Ready? I've been training for this fight since the day I discovered who I really am. I'm ready to confront my past, and whatever else comes with it." The words spilled out of her, fierce and unwavering, the weight of her ambition lifting her shoulders. "And remember, Kim, as you fight, know that I am fighting alongside you. Every punch, every kick, represents defiance against the chains of our history. It means more than a win in the ring. It's about claiming every piece of your legacy." A knockout punch to the heart. This wasn't about taking down her father anymore. It was about taking back her life, fueled by the fire of her mother's sacrifice. She could see the roadmap unfolding ahead. "I will confront more than just a father in the ring," Kim vowed, her spirit ignited. "I'll redefine everything. No more ghosts, no more shadows." With resolve, she looked at Gordon, who had watched intently through the whirlwind of emotions. His presence felt grounding amidst the storm. "We start this journey together. You and me." Finally understanding what this was all about, Kim's voice softened as she turned back to her mother's video. "Thank you for this. I won't let your sacrifices go unacknowledged." "Go, my daughter," her mother whispered, determination flaring in her eyes. "This is your time to shine." As the video faded out, the last of Kim's hesitation evaporated. She shared a look with Gordon, a kind of unspoken understanding passing between them. Their path ahead now seemed clearer. With each day, Kim felt her strength compounding as she prepared for the fight. The nerves that once twisted her stomach transformed into raw courage, propelling her toward something monumental. Not just for herself, but for the legacy she wanted to forge amidst the stones of her past. The day of the showcase arrived, anticipation crackling like electricity in the air. The gym, filled with familiar faces, transformed into a roaring battlefield of expectation. She had come to reclaim a history that was hers to write. As she stood before the crowd, she felt the heartbeat of Maplewood around her, the friends, the memories, the love wrapped around her like armor against the tumult of the past. It was time to step into the ring, ready to fight, ready to reclaim. No more secrets. No more shadows. With every ounce of strength coursing through her, Kim raised her head high. And with the bell's chime resonating around her, she stepped forward into the light, ready to claim the truth, the fight, and a future she would never let anyone take away again. Are you ready to stand with Kim in her journey? Subscribe immediately to catch every detail of these exclusive stories. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and spread the light. Comment below your thoughts on this powerful transformation. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible journey. This is the moment to show your support.